What's going on? It's JLS from Nick of Time Show. Here giving you that Knicks talk just in the nick of time. I'm here with my guys, Ryan G, who's in the building, and the Latin assassin, Lee Escobedo, just to chat it up a little bit about the summer and FIBA. FIBA RJ was in effect, and FIBA Brunson made an appearance, and we're going to talk about it with our guys. So let's get to it. All right. But first, I'm gonna start off with talking about FIBA RJ. All right, he played 30 minutes a game for FIBA. Canada actually ended up medaling. USA, not so much. It became a point in time where USA and Canada were actually facing off, and Canada got the better of us, and it hurt to watch our USA guys and Brunson fall to Canada, but at the same time, you could not watch that game and not get a little bit excited about the proclamation, the arrival of RJ Barrett in that game. Averaged during FIBA 16.8 points per game, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, put up some threes, and had a high 24 points and 9 rebounds. When watching that Canada versus USA game, although we had some moments that were a little shaky, when the game was on the line, when they needed him to get a bucket, he was able to score some big buckets. So shout out to RJ Barrett and congratulations to him and those guys for winning a medal. So Lee, what did you feel? What do you think about RJ Barrett's performance in FIBA and his overall outlook about that performance carrying over to the Knicks this season?
I love what I saw on a very stacked Canadian team. He was consistently their second best player after SGA, who was all NBA first team, deservedly so. RJ understood his role as a second option, played with a lot more spacing than he does in New York, played with a pass first point guard who's an elite scorer in SGA, someone who's looking for him, and provided ample wide open 3-point attempts from the perimeter because of the attention that SGA causes when he drives into the lane. It's probably the most deadly penetrating guard in the NBA statistically and eye test. So I think RJ really benefited from playing in that backcourt. And also Jalen Brunson was really effective at the 3-point shot. He had a pick and roll, elite pick and roll player in Dwight Powell and his ability to set screens and roll the basket. It was a team that was tailored toward RJ's strengths. And if he can shoot 37% in the regular season from three with the Knicks, I would be more than happy than the 31, 32% that he's been checking up the last couple of seasons. I also hope it's an indicator of him starting off a little bit stronger and better this season because of the FIBA experience than he has in years past. Those first 2 months have been brutal during October, November, and even December. RJ Barrett, always one of the worst 3-point shooters statistically in the NBA around that time. And then he starts warming up around the All-Star break and typically it plays better. I'd give him credit, though, man. From the playoffs to the regular season to FIBA, one thing about him, even if his shooting shots off, he's clutch. You said it best. When you need a bucket in crunch time, I love RJ Barrett's steel reserve, ice cold veins, his ability to get to the hoop, draw a foul, hit free throws, hit the shot, or even pull up from three. I trust RJ in the closing moments of big games, even more so than I do Julius Randle. So I love what I saw from RJ. Defense was as bad as his 3-point shot in FIBA, but the effort was there. So, it's just about knowing your rotations and knowing your teammates a little bit better, trusting your teammates a little bit better, and communicating, which shouldn't be a problem under a Tibbs coach team.
Yeah, I agree. The defense was woof. It was woof. But RJ worked on his 3-point shot this summer, so you can tell like he was tinkering with it, and he shot well, 37% from three. So I really liked that. Even in that Canada versus USA game, it seemed like the US was daring him to shoot sometimes, and he answered the bell. And he got a lot of wide open looks. And here's the thing, when he's with the Knicks, he also had a lot of wide open looks. But as Clyde says, you're open for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And they were open for a reason in FIBA too, because his reputation is not ever a knockdown shooter. If you have a choice between letting SGA cook you or giving Dylan Brooks or giving RJ an open look, you're gonna give RJ the open look. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy with his overall performance. My other critique, though, my other critique of RJ, besides like the defense, is RJ has these really really big games, and then he has these struggle bus games that drive me crazy. And for me, what I want to see from RJ Barrett going into the season is having those hard games not be as hard. You can't have one. There was a game where he had one where he shot like 1 for 10. And he kept shooting threes. And although I like the fact that RJ is the type of guy who's just going to keep shooting, I don't want to see 10% from the field games. If we can minimize those, he needs to find other ways to be effective, whether it be passing to his other teammates more, whether it be going to the line more, get himself going. But those large gaps really hurt us. And we saw that in Miami too. During the playoffs, he had a pretty good playoffs overall, but that elimination game when Jalen Brunson needs somebody to step up with him, RJ Barrett was nowhere to be found that game. So although like I am very excited and I am what's the word? I'm cautiously optimistic with what I've seen from RJ. Cautiously optimistic that there is some carryover from the playoffs and from FIBA, and he'll be able to do that going into the NBA. Matter of fact, historically, players who play in FIBA average 2 points more per game. So hopefully there's some carryover from RJ. But I'm excited, but I'm cautiously optimistic. And I hope that he's turned the corner and it'll affect us. Because you know what? I've said it before that, I felt like we were a wing player last year away from being chip contenders. Now, that's when Julius Randle was playing at like a phenomenal level, but now Randle kind of flopped in the playoffs. But I still feel that way. If Randle can come into the season playing like he does in regular season, and RJ Barrett can have that impact like he had last season and in FIBA, where people are daring him to shoot threes and he's connecting, I think we'll be in great shape. All right. I don't know if Ryan G has anything to add.
Yeah, first and foremost, those shooting splits right there. If RJ Barrett comes into next season shooting 45% from the field and 37% from three,
Amen.
I'll accept that any day of the week. If RJ Barrett can come into the season shooting like that, that's number one. Number two, I think the one thing that probably, I guess, kind of annoyed me about RJ Barrett's performances in FIBA is just the inconsistency because one game he would have like 20 and 8, for example, then the next game he would shoot badly and he wouldn't have as much impact on the floor. And I think that inconsistency is something that has plagued him throughout his whole young career so far. But at the same time, I did see a whole bunch of positives. And I think probably the biggest positive is his 3-point shooting. The fact that he shot 37% from three is definitely welcome. And looking at it going into the regular season with the way the Knicks roster is currently constructed, because with Obi gone and Dante coming in, it does seem like the Knicks are going to have more emphasis on small ball. And if RJ can fill that role, I'm just basing this off last season's rotation. Because what I'm assuming is that when it's time for the bench to come in, RJ Barrett is going to probably still be that one starter on the court with the bench players, and he's probably going to have to play small ball 4. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know what the case is going to be as of yet. But if he can shoot the ball at that 37% clip like he did in FIBA, that's just going to open up the game for him, especially when the Knicks play that small ball lineup and with him at the 4, which is what I'm assuming. And then with him shooting that well from 3, that's going to open up the floor for him to drive to the basket, which I think that's his strength right there. The fact that he's able to drive into the lane and try to finish at the rim or even create at the rim, even we know sometimes he has that tunnel vision, but when he's at his best, he's able to drive to the rim, finish at the rim, or create shots off the drive. So what I've seen from RJ Barrett overwhelmingly is more positive than negative, and I'm looking forward to his play coming into the regular season.
Man, well said, Ryan.
Okay,
go ahead.
No, all I was going to say was RJ shot 40% one season. That seems so crazy. He shot 40% from 3. And I can't even believe it because he followed up with 34% and 31. But that 37 though is giving me a heartbeat of hope that it can come back. Go ahead, Lee.
I think they need to limit RJ's play with the starting unit as much as possible. I know that he's a de facto starting small forward, but that starting lineup doesn't do him any favors in terms of spacing. I think it's better for Randall and better for him if their minutes are separated more and RJ plays a majority of his minutes with the second unit. Because when you have Hartenstein at the 5, RJ at the small ball 4, and now DiVincenzo, a more consistent three-point shooter, and Obi Toppin helping space the floor, it's just better driving opportunities and more downhill situations for RJ opposed to Randall and Mitch both operating under the basket.
Yeah, well, it seems like it's probably going to be Josh Hart at the small ball four. But although I definitely see RJ playing some small ball four as well. So it's definitely going to be more of a run and gun type of style when it comes to that unit. But yeah, I agree with you that it's funny. I've said, man, I think like year one I was talking about having RJ off the bench, not because he's not talented or whatever, but I feel like we've had the same issue with RJ since he's been here. The spacing has always not been what it was supposed to be, and I've always felt like the spacing was better for him when running with the bench guys, and it still seems like that is the same case today. So I mean, the 9-man rotations for me, I know Knicks fans don't really like it, but it's still the best option for us and RJ in particular to be successful in my mind. Because when you go with that 9-man rotation, that's when you do have RJ running with the bench instead of just playing exclusively with the starters.
Yep. Agree 100%.
All right, man. Now let's get to something else. Let's get to Jalen Brunson. Because Jalen Brunson also played with FIBA, and it's funny, he didn't play bad, but it's looked at in a different light because it is USA. USA basketball has been dominant for so many years. These last few years, let's keep it funky. Europe has caught up. They caught up a lot. So we can't just roll out of bed and beat them like we used to. You know what I mean? We have to actually put teams together who can do it. And because, Jalen Brunson was kind of low-key named the captain of the team, it makes it seem like there's more heat on Jalen Brunson that we didn't win. Although in reality, there was a lot of reasons why USA was not, successful. You know what I mean? Like, for one, to me, it was the rebounding was a huge problem. We were out rebounded most games, and when your best rebounder on the team is a 6'8" Josh Hart, there's a problem.
Yep.
There's a problem when your defensive guy on the team, or your defensive player of the year on the team, can't out rebound Josh Hart when he's 6'11" and Josh Hart is 6'8". That was a huge problem.
It was.
Yeah, 3-point shooting as well in general. Eurobasket, those guys are shooting the lights out. We shot okay, but they were shooting at another level from 3 for us. And you know what? Just the fact that those guys are together for longer periods of time definitely hurt us as well. But overall, Brunson played all right. Played around 20 minutes a game, averaged 11 points a game, shot 50% from the field and 38% from 3. It's still freaking Jalen Brunson. But I don't know, Lee, what do you think about Jalen Brunson's performance with FIBA?
Jalen Brunson wasn't able to be Knicks Brunson. He was more Mavs Brunson. He had to take a back seat to the high usage of Anthony Edwards. The entire offense was being run through Anthony Edwards. Edwards hit the most shots, scored the most points, and really was the one player I would probably say has to be on the Olympic team moving forward. Like, absolutely, you got to carve out space for Anthony Edwards. You got to let him cook, even no matter if he's playing with a Hall of Famers next to him. But because of that, it limited Jalen Brunson's on-ball ability, and it emphasized what he didn't bring on the court defensively. He was being targeted on switches and pick and rolls. Guys were going after him. He had trouble recovering on the perimeter, guarding the three-point line, which is why the last couple of games Halliburton was closing and was actually playing more minutes than Brunson. he kind of got played off the court in that sense because his offense wasn't making enough for it since he was playing next to Anthony Edwards. And similar to what he was in Dallas, having to play next to Luka Doncic, a very high volume shooter, not a great 3-point shooter, but a great penetrator and a great mid range player, which is what Anthony Edwards is too. So he was regulated to kind of a second option or a third option, depending on the lineup, but he still provided leadership. He was consistent, shot well. His shooting splits were solid, could depend on to hit free throws, and was clutch in a couple of games on the stretch for America as well.
Yeah. I don't know if you have anything to add. I want to rebut. I want to add to that, but unless you have something to say, Ryan.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I think Lee pretty much said it right there regarding Jalen Brunson. Looking at the shooting splits, like that's pretty much Jalen Brunson. Like that's what Jalen Brunson's going to definitely give you. He's going to definitely give you efficient shooting, which he did for the USA. It's tough for a player when you have a group of players together on a team, all players that play major roles for their respective NBA teams. It's tough for that player to really get the same opportunities that he would get if he was playing with his NBA team. Like, for example, with Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson playing with a lot of different great players. So he's not going to get the same opportunities that he would get if he was playing with the Knicks. So I think you have to take that into perspective when you look at his stats and how he played in FIBA. But I think the one encouraging thing about Jalen Brunson that I took into account from his performances is the fact that I think he did show that he has the ability to play with another great player. He's the type of player where if the Knicks were to bring in a Giannis or Donovan Mitchell, whoever the case may be, Jalen Brunson is able to play with that player. He's able to, facilitate and get other players involved in things of that nature. He's not just a scorer. And I think that's one thing he did prove playing FIBA with the USA.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the Halliburton thing. So Halliburton and Brunson, they pretty much split the minutes. But like Lee was saying, Halliburton kind of closed. He closed a lot of the times, which I feel like as a coach, right? I saw people kind of like laughing at Brunson because he wasn't closing, which is weird. But as a coach, I can understand it because if you have a guy who they're both first of all, Halliburton was producing at a high level like Brunson, right? And actually, I feel like Halliburton played a little bit better than Brunson. Like he shot like 60% from three, and his passing was really good for Team USA. But here's the thing. End of the game situations when you have a 2-point guards who are like pretty close in production, and one is 6'6" or whatever, it has a wingspan, and the other isn't. Coaches are going to want to switch and the game situations on defense, and I felt like he went that way because of the switchability of Halliburton, and that's why Halliburton ended up closing a lot of time, which kind of minimizes what Brunson does best, which is close. When the games are tight, he can hit shots. And I think it kind of took that away from Brunson. And like Lee said, it allowed him to be the real Brunson that we've seen on the Knicks. It allowed him to be like a watered down version that we saw on Team USA. So that's one thing. The other thing I will say is too, there was like little things that I saw that I didn't see on the Knicks. Like he was running pick and roll with what's my man from Orlando?
Banchero?
Banchero. In my mind, I'm like, oh, I can Banchero and Rand. Like I in my mind, I was like, wait, how many times have we seen Brunson run pick and roll with Julius Randle? Really? Like it was interesting seeing him do that. And here's the thing I want Brunson to work on coming into the season. He was able to make those passes, right? But the passes were tight, and I felt like the better pass might have been to like the 3-point shooter outside because they were waiting for the pick and roll. And that's the one thing that I saw that I can definitively say Halliburton did better than Brunson was Brunson made good passes, Halliburton made great passes. And then for this season, I love Brunson and he's done well for us. That next level for him is, for me, is A, volume shooting from the three, and B, getting even better with the reads. Because I feel like if you have a guy who can, if we do more pick and roll with Brunson as a Knick and he gets more comfortable, he can be able to pick out the other reads a lot better than I feel like he was in FIBA. Even though he didn't do bad passes in FIBA, I feel like it can be even better. Overall, though, I don't think Brunson had a bad FIBA showing. And I'll say that.
I agree. I think one other thing that Brunson needs to improve on and Halliburton did better is changing the pace. I think Kerr realized that when Brunson was out there, they relied more on the half-court set because that allows Brunson to utilize his unbelievable footwork and change the pace and pivoting opportunities when he's posting up. Mm-hmm. And Halliburton was way better at finding guys on the break and instituting more of a run-and-gun offense that Brunson struggled in those opportunities in FIBA. So I think that Halliburton was just a better closer to it, did easy transition buckets. He was a better fit there at point guard.
Yep, absolutely. But overall, still decent showing by Jalen Brunson, like 50% from the field, 38% from three, like in 20 minutes a game. Not like it's not bad.
And Josh Hart was too.
Oh yes, Josh Hart. Josh Hart
was solid.
Josh Hart. The fact that Josh Hart ended up cracking the starting rotation with all those players there, it's just phenomenal.
Love it.
In itself. Led the team in rebounding itself, 5.3 rebounds. Jared Jackson, man.
Terrible rebound.
Terrible. This is the thing.
Terrible in the NBA, too.
Yeah.
He's terrible in the NBA, too.
Yeah.
He's terrible, period.
I think Josh Hart actually averages more rebounds per game than Jaren Jackson in the regular season in the NBA. If I'm
It's kind of partially why I'm not super worried about him playing backup power forward. Like I feel like we're gonna be. I'm warming up to that idea and going, I think we're gonna be all right.
You're right, Ryan. He averages 0.2 more rebounds a game in a regular season.
I figured that.
Embarrassing.
Super embarrassing. But Josh Hart had a really solid outing, and there was a point where Hart and Jalen Brunson had the highest plus minus out of anybody in FIBA, like halfway through the games until stuff got kind of started sputtering a little bit. Sure, I think even Anthony Edwards called him like one of the best players on the team.
I mean, Josh Hart, he shot 59% from the field, 52% from three, averaged 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 1.4 steals. Like, those are some great numbers on the Knicks. I think taking that in the next year, you can play him at any position, and he's going to be the glue no matter who else is out there. And he's an insurance clause for whatever trade we make down the future. You got to retain Josh Hart, and he's going to be that piece on a championship like Bruce Brown was for Denver.
Yo, you know the crazy thing, Lee? People were talking about, Jalen Brunson getting targeted. Austin Reeves? Holy cow. No one really talks about how Austin Reeves was getting targeted like a lot. Like more than Brunson was. Like a lot.
But he was cooking. He was cooking though.
Yeah, he was
cooking on offense.
He was cooking.
No, offense he was cooking. But
I was shocked.
Watch end of game situations versus Greece, especially. Greece, Lithuania.
You're right.
Freaking Kuz was ISOing him against. Kuz was freaking Dennis Rodman. Kuz was Scottie Pippen posting him up and shooting fadeaways, and I was like, "Yo, is Kuz posted up Reeves and like hold my beer?" Like, it was crazy watching the Knicks, the old Knicks hero guys, Kuz and Brzezowskis, both taking turns posting Reeves and like cooking us. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was.
He had some monster scoring outputs though.
Ooh. Oh, no, he did. No, Reeves was really good.
I was shocked at how well he played offensively. Yeah, that kid's got confidence.
Reeves is really good. But it got to a point where Kerr was put in a situation where Reeves was cooking on offense, but then they were cooking him every time down the line.
Reach.
And in that point, I'm like, man, maybe you do go Josh Hart in the situation. Because I don't think they're gonna cook Josh Hart defensively like they do Reeves, or not. Maybe somebody, maybe even Brandon Ingram. I don't know. Even though Brandon Ingram wasn't really that good.
He played terrible.
Yeah, he played really bad. Yeah, I mean, Brandon Ingram was the reason why Josh Hart wasn't starting to the starting lineup.
Exactly. But when they're isoing somebody because they don't have the size and strength advantage, then maybe you try something else. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Kerr didn't really try to adjust to that situation, and that's another reason why FIBA USA fell short. But that's just one thing I noticed.
He was treating him like he treated Jordan Poole. He was giving him free reign on offense and leaving him in there where he's getting cooked and posterized on defense.
That's a fact. Barbecue freaking chicken. But yeah, Reeves did play well offensively. He was good. I don't want to seem like I'm cooking him, but that's more of a coach thing. I don't know. That was weird. But yeah, that was weird. And Lithuania cooking us was weird. That was just some Twilight Zone stuff. But yeah, that's all I have to say. That's it. I don't know if you guys want to add anything. Nope.
It's nice to watch FIBA and see a Knick being the leader of a team and the captain of a team. That's an awesome thing. It's been a long time. I think the last time we had Knick was Melo and then Marbury before that. Like, it's just great to watch this Team USA and have Knick representation twice on USA, and then also have RJ over there in Canada.
Exactly. Yeah. And two in the starting lineup, mind you. Like, if we won gold, I mean, I would have been talking smack all season. I'm not gonna hold you. We won gold with Brunson in the starting lineup with Josh Hart and beat Canada for like silver or something. Like, I would have talked smack all year long, because that's what it looked like it was heading to at some point.
I thought it was too.
Facts. I mean, pretty much just have that gold medal hanging at MSG, pretty much.
Exactly. now we world champions, damn it, all right? Knicks are world champions. But it didn't happen. It is. All right. That is our show. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in. Stay tuned to Knick of Time Show. We'll be dropping gems. And listen, also check out Knick Tacto. Shout out to my ladies at Knicks OmniFans, a new game show where we test Knicks fans trivia and we pit them against each other. So listen, if you got a beef with a fan, you want to call them out, bring them to Knick Tacto and stop all that Twitter beef stuff. Bring it to Knick Tacto and beat him live. Beat him on air, all right? Show him that you're smarter than him and he knows nothing. You're superior, all right? Shout out to my ladies who run Knick Tacto with me, all right? Cool. That is our show. Thank you, gentlemen. We're out of here. Peace.
New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams. NYC.